Tuesday 432 meditation. Welcome, welcome. If you're new for the first time, every meditation is designed to accommodate whether you're an advanced meditator or a beginning meditator. There's always a nice download for everyone. So welcome to our magic carpet ride today. It's the continuation of a meditation from yesterday on the Bagavad Gita, which is an amazing scripture from India that is lodged inside of the Mahabharata, which is a great epic in Indian culture. And there's also a great epic called the Ramayana, of which you're familiar with. The Star Wars characters are pretty much characters right out of the Ramayana, or the Ramayana, however you might want to pronounce it. Chewbacca is Hanuman, Sita is Princess Leia, Luke Skywalker is Ram, right? And Ram is an incarnation of Vishnu. If you want to get the full picture, Vishnu is the sustaining principle in India, in the tripartite God assembly of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. And so Vishnu sustains, and so he sends down various characters, various avatars, various beings to save mankind at different times when the Dharma has become cloudy. And so in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is us, right? Arjuna is the existential crisis of being lost, confused, being brought to a situation where he has to fight with his relatives. It's a big mess. He doesn't know what to do. He's depressed. He's hit an impasse. He's like the ego, right? And so Krishna essentially is the soul. Krishna is this connection to the divine that brings in the light, reminds us that we're expanding space being, and removes the darkness and the trouble. So this story essentially is the existential situation of us and how we negotiate with divine mind, divine soul, divine resonance. So let's start by dropping actually out of our heads for a while, into our heart. We're just going to relax brain. We can continue with the epic in a while. First things first. Emptying the contents of the mind, relaxing the brain. You want to become empty. Empty so you can be full. Empty so you can be filled with light. Fresh breath. Beautiful feeling coming in. Letting the day kind of wash off of you into the earth. Let the good feeling attract the healing. We want to feel our heart center, breathe into the heart. Notice that this part is already profoundly fine. We don't have to do that much. Allow the heart to be this beautiful astral radio station that converts spirit into matter. We're just breathing into the heart. And yesterday, part of our intention was to journey up into the third eye and to penetrate past this template, this blue template, this narrative center, this part of us that uses languages, the tool of creation, the tools of creation that sometimes work against us. So we have to move through there, up into here. And that was our adventure yesterday. And I wanted to read an experience someone sent me by email today. Someone who's been watching fairly regularly. Said, "Hi Sudam, I didn't get a chance to thank you last night after the meditation because it was so powerful. and I was just left in an absolute state of bliss. Thank you so much. And I also wanted to let you know about my powerful experience. I think I had a third eye opening in your meditation last night. I felt a lot of pressure in my head, and it culminated in big explosions of pressure releasing and a very deep sensation into the third eye area. I'm so excited to do tonight's meditation and keep going with the process. So yes, I was a little concerned yesterday maybe there had been too many words for the first half an hour, and that might have deterred you from meditating, but meditation is really bringing your attention to something, and the whole point of the Bagavad Gita is that all of our issues and problems come from some kind of wrong application of the mind, some kind of wrong thinking, right? So we want to attend to that. That's like the first step. So we want to relax the mind, relax the brain, and let's notice actually what is the difference between the mind and the brain, right? Good question. Yesterday there was a little dialogue on the chat about that, and I wanted to clarify how I understand the mind. I would say it's certainly up for grabs. I don't know if anyone has a definitive explanation completely for the mind, but lots of the saints and mystics do a pretty good job. So I wrote something out as a kind of a little journey, mini journey as to how we're going to understand the mind here. It says, let's start with what happens in your heart, right? There's feelings that arise, and as the sing song suggests, the shape of my heart, that feeling has a shape to it. Feeling has an electromagnetic shape. Emotions are kind of like storms. So what is the shape? What is this envelope, electrocardial envelope around the heart that is really accommodates the flow of the life force, right? So love is the flow. It's like the electricity, the electronics, the bioplasma that comes in. And there's something called the phi ratio. It's the golden mean proportion. Every time you breathe, essentially you're exerting the phi ratio. You're exerting the self-organizing principles of consciousness around the heart. And out of this swirling, wondrous vector, love is extracted from the vacuum. Energy is extracted from the vacuum. And this creates more symmetry, more harmony, more coherency, more self-organization, more, to get more technical, phi ratio of spin, right? And all this wondrousness that happens in the heart generates an energy, right? There's an attractive force in the heart. But then there's also this dynamic force. Second most powerful force in the universe to love might just be the mind, right? The mind is so powerful. So it's like a fractal-based algorithm, right? It's taking all the information and just like Facebook, turns it into an algorithm that allows only the relevant material to process in that moment, right? So you could argue that the mind is kind of a fractal algorithm, right? It's operating out of the vacuum of the heart in order to balance out the attraction, sort of push dynamic in the body. Pretty complicated stuff. Essentially, this is the heroic journey, right? So Odysseus went through this, passing through the sirens of fear, right? These screaming voices trying to stop him, right? All kinds of interference coming from the narrative, from our story, from the way we believe things, right? This belief system, right, affects us. Everything we think, everything we feel, everything we love. Okay, so there's some good information about the mind. It's different from the brain. Yes, pain comes from the brain, but you can take an Excedrin migraine for that. But for the mind, I don't know if Excedrin would work. So, how do we understand that, right? So the brain does what the brain does, and you could be dead, for example. Let's say your brain could be lying there in your body. You've pulled the plug, but the brain is there. But where are you, right? You're still thinking, feeling something, which means that thinking and feeling might not be actually what's going on in the brain. Greg Braden writes about that they've discovered another brain, actually 40,000 neurites in the heart that also do similar things as the brain. So even in your heart, there's a thinking processor, right? It's kind of intuitive mind is happening. So good news is we can relax brain. Brain is necessary, right? It's an awesome little supercomputer. But as you might know from when you've left your body, when you've pulled out of your body in meditation, for example, you're still thinking, processing, and you might not be in your brain in that moment. So let's just observe that for a minute, that your brain and your mind are different. And that's subject to controversy, but that's my experience. So let's just notice this, because essentially the mind is different than the body, and the brain is part of your body. So the mind-body split has been understood for years, but the mind-body connection has been more understood in the last 40, 50 years, when it's understood that thoughts create chemicals, right? So there's a mind-body connection. Okay, and so we breathe, relax brain, and drop into the smart part of the heart. Here we go. Let's just take the next minute. Delicious feeling in the heart. Gather yourself, right? Gather your energy. Don't be leaking, right? Meditation is sealing the leaks, gathering your split off stray parts, bringing back your unloved parts into your heart, breathing into that, integrating into that. So the story we tell is important. The story we define ourselves with, right? So how does that happen? There's stories within stories within stories. And some stories move faster than other stories. It's very complicated. Just the same way the Bagavad Gita is a story within a story. And then within that story, there are other stories. Even atoms and molecules are stories, right? Even all of these understandings we have are some kind of story, some kind of narrative, some kind of logos, right? This primal imprint word. In the Bible, I talk about in the beginning is the word, right? There's this logos. And you could maybe make the case that the mind is kind of the logos, right? It's the word power. It has a force to it. It's a tool. So notice this logos. And where does the logos sit? It sits in our throat where we speak. Right? Very logical, very logos-able, right? And algorithm has kind of logos in it too. So this is story-centered. The scriptures come out of this narrative. All right, this is big story time here. Up here is more ecstasy, more merging with God, celestial expansion. It's like the light of the candle radiating out, the unconditional love flow, once you get past here. Right? So yesterday our journey was to go from the heart to the third eye. Let's say it remains our journey today, because my point about the Bhagavad Gita is it is actually a template for this. If we boil it down to each chapter being an essential statement, almost as a word, like authenticity, flow, right? These principles have a lot of power, right? There's a kind of architecture to them. So let's breathe and notice the architecture that you already are. that mean? So we have a mind, we have a brain, we're thinking, we have a mind, it's the heart mind, we're in the heart. We have a body, has body intelligence, heart intelligence, and body intelligence. So let's bask in the glow of these two intelligences for a minute. Notice how smart your body is. Notice how smart your heart is. Lots of smart parts in you. Matter of fact, every organ and gland has a brain. There's a tail brain, parasympathetic system, missing tail brain, coccygeal brain, many brains. So we want to align all the brains, come to resonance. And there's like a lower mind, right? A mind that's caught up in smaller things. Wants to get upset with stupid stuff, right? Then there's this higher mind, much more expansive. So the lower mind seems to be in the jurisdiction below the heart, right? It's part of the physical body world. It's reacting to what's going on, right? It's more of an immediate processor mind. We're just noticing that. And then there's this astral radio of the heart, a multicolored fish, right? Every color is there. And then we move up through the blue, Krishna is blue, consciousness is blue, this chakra is blue. Just taking stock of this chakra, however you want to pronounce it. Just feel it right now. Does it hurt? Is it tense? Give this chakra some love. A Reiki application, self-love to the throat. This center might have squeezed off the passageway going up to the third eye. As I read earlier, the person who had this experience, there was some pressure buildup and then an explosiveness to it, and it burst through somewhere where it was stuck. There was some kind of impasse. And why is there an impasse here usually? My thought is that the mind is digital, right? It's a polarity show, so it's yes, no, it's all the opposites. As I mentioned yesterday, sort of like Congress, right? Everyone's invited to the photon party. There's the protons and the photons and the neutrons, and where are the morons? Where are those particles acting like morons? They're at an impasse. Let's help them. Let's send them love so they can send us money, right? We need the energy. The United States needs love and energy. So we're just going to assist in this burst, right? If we can burst through to the third eye, so can they, right? We might not have a lot to do with them, but you never know, right? So we're just going to send the energy up into the vision center. So they have higher vision. They can see what to do, not argue through this etheric template. And so just notice yourself moving up through, past the languaging, past the story you're telling yourself, past your personal mythology. It's really the creation of family, culture, your beliefs, however you've constructed it. Move through this verbalization domain. into more subtle experience than words. Mind is quiet. When Arjuna's mind becomes quiet, Krishna seizes on the opportunity to say, well, I want to show you who I really am, dude. The light of a billion suns, and Arjuna is taken beyond words into that realization of the divine, the at-one-ment, seeing God everywhere. That's what Krishna exhorts Arjuna to do. The first two chapters, the mind. The problem is the mind. The solution is right understanding. Chapters 1 and 2, right from the get-go. And then the next 8 chapters of how to be. What are all the qualities that you need to make this ascension? Essentially, Krishna is meditation. He's meditation coming into Arjuna. Arjuna doesn't know what to do. Krishna downloads. And so these, we'll just review briefly these 8 qualities yesterday of beingness that are kind of required if you want to go up here. Selflessness, mindfulness, surrender to bliss or compassion, love, resonance, authenticity, forbearance. All right, this is the Gandhi principle here, right? You have to do conscious suffering to accomplish things sometimes, right? You have to just grin and bear it. That there's this stamba, there's this graha, this firmness that has to be, right, in the mind. And then there's the gratitude, the emotional liberation. And then enlightenment. It's kind of another level of mental liberation. Okay, so that was yesterday. Those are the 8 ways of being. So we breathe into that. That's more of the station of the heart, right? The domain of bliss. So we're just going to hang out there and just feel that. Selflessness, being nobody, mindful, not mindless, compassionate, loving, tender, resonant, filled with kundalini, authenticity, the true connection to the self, the forbearance, the gratitude, and the enlightenment. So we bask in that glow. Nothing you have to do, nowhere you have to go. Just bask in the glow. You don't even have to understand the Bagavad Gita. Just feel the peace. It's like in the light of the love and the power of the heart, the mind takes a back seat. It's like the mind is the vice president. So maybe female president is more accurate, right? The heart is more the president. We could have a male vice president with a female president. How about that? Eventually. It's like the heart and the mind. It's quite interesting that the candidate for vice president's name is Kamala Devi, means the goddess lotus, lotus goddess that grows out of the mud. And so today is a new moon. And so let that lotus in you float us, right? Let that lotus rise up to greet the moon. Dip your hands into the water and there's the reflection of the moon, right? This beautiful moment of a new cycle, fresh lunar cycle. Reset. New going forward. Releasing the past, blessing the past. Emptying out the past. Basically, Krishna as the healing coach just talks all this stuff right out of Arjuna until there's nothing left but light. Health is realization. But then Krishna wants to suggest that health is also activation as well as realization. And so these 8 qualities, flow, absorption, intention, dharma, singularity of God, right? Recognizing God in everything, fulfillment, right? Where goodness is its own reward, right action, so ethical consideration, and then this merger, or just not just enlightenment, but liberation, where your entire being might even leave its body in such a state. Again, flow, absorption, intention, dharma, recognition, fulfillment, right action, right ethics, merge. So this is kind of what the mind has to take care of. Like the first batch is more for the heart. So there's this beautiful alignment of both. That's why in India there's different paths, right? There's the Jnana yogi, right? The mind yogi, and the Bhakta yogi. Bhakti goes to God through the heart. The Laya yogi goes to God through absorption. The service yogi, the Karma yogi, who goes to God through beautiful service and action. What kind of yogi are you? Super combo yogi, right? All of these things, the modern situation. It's like our home entertainment center. Just look around your living room. Your inner living room is kind of a home entertainment center as well. We have this power, right, to control the forces. So just basking in your beautiful heart, in your home entertainment center, just feel what it means to be liberated in that regard. Nobody has control over you. You are the President of the United States of Love. You are the master. And even if you don't think you're an accomplished master, my guru would suggest that you are, actually. Everyone already is a perfect master, worshiping God in their own wonderful and strange way. So notice your mastery. And On some level, this is Krishna's message, right? That Arjuna, you're already the divine force, dude. Wake it up, right? Don't be lost in the sauce of your crazy mind. Let's meditate on that. Flow from the heart to move up the Sushumna channel, up the right side vagus nerve, this train stops in Grand Central, right side vagus. That train continues on to Penn Station in the right brain, links in with all the subway stations. But the left side vagus nerve, who knows where that's going? That's not at Grand Central or Penn Station. That's going into the left brain and doing something different. It's why there are sociopaths and psychopaths in this world, because their left brain is not connected to their heart. So we want to go through, back into the right brain, back into their heart. Grounding around you. Swept up and then converted into coherency when you exhale. So let's take a nice deep breath through the mouth. Tube breathing it slowly into the diaphragmatic muscles. Fill up with wondrous prana shakti and slowly release. Carburetor of a car is an air-fuel mixture ratio, right? So we want the right air-fuel mixture with the oxygen, your blood sugar, your fuel, which is really, there's various things that are your fuel. Just breathing into this wondrous balance of mind and body, heart, mind, everything balanced. Stillness clears the illness. Any distortion. It's that gentle peace. Become aware of the distortions. Notice, oh, I'm sitting weird. Oh, I'm holding my thoughts in a strange way. My inner posture, what's going on? We correct it. Come to a more aligned place, more gentle, softening. You don't want to feel like, oh, I'm so here. You want to feel like you're very present, but it's quite a delicious and light feeling. of density. Karma is density, right? The funky stuff we've done makes us dense until we forgive ourselves or resolve it or forgive those that, right? We release the past, bless the past so that this accumulation is not messing with your meditation. The past should literally be gone. Zippo, bye-bye, sayonara. Send it to the Sahara, right? Gonzo. It's done. There's no particles vibrating there right now. They're all here now. It's happening in all time. But now that now is now, right? So here we are in the place of power. We don't want to lean too far into the future because that's creates some anxiety. And you don't want the depression of going over your toxic past. And so we just come to presence, very light. Your body can kind of disappear. You become a space being and you keep expanding. And that's a good thing. Because that's the opposite of contracting. Fear, anger, grief. It's sort of like the mind could go either direction, right? It can splinter off into that toxic decay, or in an interesting way, you can speed up the particles. Essentially, your particles go fast as light. When you go faster than light, essentially you're getting younger. So for all you gals out there, want to look prettier, get those particles moving faster. You'll go faster than light, right? Which is literally a rejuvenation phenomenon, right? Stem cell patches might work, but hey, speed up your thoughts at the speed of light. You will glow, right? Okay, so here we are going at the speed of light. At the speed of light, there's no time. Yesterday, I got confused by time because this is digital time, and this little guy is analog, and even though it has a fairly new battery, every time I use this clock during meditation, it starts to do wonky things. It goes into some other time, seriously. So there's different times, right? Subjective time. The crystalline structures of your body actually control your experience of time because the crystals in the watches, right? It's divine time, crystalline. So your liquid crystal heart, that's why it's such a sublime radio station, right? So liquid crystal transmitter, and it's right on time with the galaxy. There's also another time circuit in the brain. It's the dopamine circuit, basal ganglia, substantia nigra, right? Different tegmental areas spin around. Dopamine is sort of keeping a certain rhythm groove in your body. There's other time sensors that are pulsing. It's not just your heart that's beating. The body is an unbelievably miraculous thing, right? Body intelligence goes back to 140 million years. So let's just thank your body right now. While we're talking about the body, honor its intelligence. It knows everything. You just need to ask. Oh, thank you, body. Thank you, kidneys and bladder. Thank you, liver, gallbladder. Oh, thank you, heart, small intestine. These are the organ pairs in Chinese medicine. Thank you, triple warmer pericardium. Invisible organs, thank you. Thank you, small intestine. Thank you, spleen and stomach. Earth energy. Thank you, large intestine, lungs. Metal energy. Thank you, kidneys, bladder, water energy. And the Sheng cycle is complete. Thanking all the brains in your body, 100 trillion cells. You don't have to do that much, right? Just kind of like, hey guys, I love you. I'm just remembering you. I'm tuning into you. I'm not taking you for granted. They will work better for you, guaranteed. Right? Love is the activator. So I'm just tuning in on a collective level for the group here. Which organs and glands might need a little attention. We've done a lot of work on lungs in the past with the COVID. I'm getting more liver right now. Probably because people are angry. People are frustrated. They're stuck in quarantine. It doesn't feel good. So liver is a fire organ of sort. Well, it's actually not a fire organ, but it expresses itself almost in a fiery way, right? It's a wood principle organ that catches fire. So if your business is lagging and sagging and dragging and not, you can't get it together because of COVID, or energizing your liver, that's energizing your business. That's putting more logs on the bonfire of the heart. Uploading more liver energy into the heart, expanding the bonfire, expanding the blaze. Liver as wood activator, grows like wildfire. Crazy bamboo, loving you, fed by the kidneys, bladder. Water feeds the wood, feeds the heart, feeds the fire, feeds the invisible organs. We breathe into that thought. What are your invisible organs? Well, there's a pericardial sheath, kind of electrocardioid, beautiful shape of the heart, electromagnetic thing. Just vibrating with that. If you need a new one of those, like a new leather jacket, just throw the shredded thing off and bring in the new pericardial sheath. Whoa, you're styling. And then the other invisible organ is the triple warmer, which is very much about brain, heart, gut, right? Temperature settings, fluid distribution. Just breathing into this, it's like a triple eight, right? The figure eights that move between these brains. One of them, essentially is the essential initial feeler in the gut. And then depends on where you send it, right? Where do you send it next? You send it to your brain, or you send it to your heart? Two roads diverged in a wood, says Robert Frost. I took the one less taken. Okay, that might be the heart. So let's just route into the heart, skip brain, do not pass. Well, pass, go, collect $200 and show up in the heart. Good feeling. Right as we're saying this, it says NASA is observing a dent in the Earth's electromagnetic field. Little CNN flash just dropped in. What are you guys doing? Oh, in Santa Barbara, there seems to be an anomaly. Okay, so just using your electromagnetic genius to redesign the universe. Bring it into peace. Let all those loggerheads flog in their heads, stuck in the bog in their heads. Remove, insert peace. Whoa. And we breathe. Basking in the glow of the loving light. Delicious loving light. And since we're connecting to all these loving light folks, let's consider collective mind for a minute. What does collective mind do? Well, I read a book that described when they were looking for a submarine once that a nuclear submarine in the Atlantic went missing, and no single person's calculations could find it. But someone put together an algorithm of all those intelligences, and the collective mind knew exactly where the sub was. Most likely because the collective mind is the sub, and so of course it knows where it is. But individual points can't quite grok the entirety of the thing, right? So feed it through the algorithm, the collective mind knows what's going on. So how does that work with you and I? With it? What is this mind that the collective mind has versus the mind that you have? Well, here's how I would like to understand that. Essentially, the collective mind is a kind of giant ocean of transmission, right? It's a sea of consciousness, a sea of digital, analog data just flying through the noosphere. This is happening out there. And you are like a television set, downloading all 1,000 channels, right? Right through Sahasrara channel, maybe all 900, whatever it is, 86 of the little vortexes up there that they figured out, right? So you got all the channels, you're the television box, right? You're downloading from the collective. So essentially you have your own version, and then we're sort of nested like the Bagavad Gita in the larger Mahabharata of the collective. So let's notice that for a minute. Your inertia, your spin ratio in your heart, this beautiful vacuum energy, center of the storm, you, that spinning thing has its own center of the universe, let's say. And then you're embedded in all of these other centers of the universe, people everywhere. And then that is like a giant lotus, right? With all these thousands of little sub-frequencies. So let's just breathe into that. Just the lotus at the top, this 1,000-petal lotus, is not as fluid as the third eye, which is more kind of like celestial ecstasy. This is more of the template of the template. This is the template of this, ultimately. I'm going with Barbara Brennan's analogies in how she understands the auric fields, right? I believe she has mapped it out better than anyone because she actually sees this stuff, right? She has this clear visual capacity she developed. So she can actually see the subtle layers and suggests that, in fact, there's a higher mind layer, lower mind layer, all these different layers. And so we're basking in these layers, noticing these layers, accommodating our layers. We're in a kind of egg envelope bubble. And then she doesn't write about this, but the shamans of South India discuss what's called the mystic shield. And the mystical shield opens at birth. Like, opens, you come flying in, right? Mom opens, you come flying in, right? Mystical shield opens up on Halloween. It's like, all the goblins and goons are flying in and out, right? So certain times of day, doors open and close, usually the morning and the dusk, right? When sun is first coming up, going down. It's called Sandhyabhasha in Sanskrit. It's the mystical twilight when the Kundalini enters your Shushumna. This is good to know. Why? Because the suggestion is if you meditate at these times, you're more likely to have Kundalini alignment, Kundalini awakening. And so 4:32 we began here on the West Coast, 7:32 on the East, so now we're moving into, it's after 8 o'clock. I don't know how dark it is on the East Coast yet, but you're entering into the twilight zone here. In this, maybe not twilight zone, but twilight mystical corridor that allows for, it's like the transmutation to occur. I've been using this example a lot lately. When you go into a movie theater, you have to adjust to the light, right? So there's a similar thing here. We're having to adjust to like a higher frequency that we're not used to, and it takes a while to calibrate with that. It's best accomplished through meditation, right? Continuous meditation gives you the wave capacity to do that. Otherwise, you're too stuck, right? Your thoughts are too rigid. You're not flexible enough. Your brain is too dense. So what we want is this liquid flow, alignment coming up from the heart, right up past this noisy zone, right, up into this beautiful expanded peace here. And then if we move up to this template, this is essentially the sort of the divine template of this. This is sort of like your local body printer template. This is more like where you're linking to the big kahuna. So, downloading from the infinite right into the body, that's going on all day long. You're continuously downloading particles from the galaxy through chakra 9, through the satellite dish, right? And then there's also energy coming up from the earth. And then there's oxygen energy coming in through the prana. There's energy coming into the telepathic, right? People are sending you energy, taking your energy. You're in the, as we discussed, right, this sort of ocean of mind that's vibrating, and at certain times the astrology affects that. So that, let's say right now, people are kind of agitated and upset, affecting the liver. That's what's going on. So let's come back to the liver. Just loving your liver, feeding your business, planting the seeds, energizing the expanding principle in your body. Just breathing.
Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram.
You never know what's going to come next.
Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai.
Just happens to be from my album Safe Harbor.
Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. 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 Jai Bajrangi Jai Hanuman Sankata Mochan Kripanadhan. Jai Bajrangi Jai Hanuman Sankata Mochan Kripanadhan. Jai Bajrangi Jai Hanuman Sankata Mochan Kripanadhan. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Jai Hanuman Sankatamocan Kripanidan Jai Bajurangi Jai Hanuman Sankatamocan Kripanidan
Well, that's kind of how it works, isn't it? Talk about Krishna and somehow Krishna shows up in the digital. All right, so let's do a little bit more healing and call it a day. So if there's anything anyone wants, you can just type it into the chat. I'll see if I can catch it. Otherwise, this entire hour has been a kind of healing, you could say, that had a strong healing intention. And praying that your third eye meditations are fruitful, that your heart is open, that your mind is quiet, and that you bask in the divine glow. Wow. Heart pain, okay, for Lily. Okay. So healing the heart. Just feel the love. Yesterday I read a quote by Richard Feynman about how in relationship we're so attracted, right, to someone. And yet when you get too close, there's this tremendous repulsion energy, this anti-gravity that kicks in. It just seems to be what happens, right? It's the push me, pull you law, the distancer, pursuer phenomenon. And so if you're flying into love, into a relationship, and suddenly, you have purpose, right? So there's going to be that repulsion energy, this part and parcel of the attractor aversion cycle. Okay. Someone else is blessing Lily. Very beautiful. Excellent. Yes, this is like a love circle. We all bless each other. Sweet. Cortisol and adrenaline. Okay, so let's get your endocrine system more balanced out with your blood. Okay, so when I'm feeling that, it's a fight-flight phenomenon, right? This cortisol ascension, right? Your adrenal glands are overdriving. You just feel something else. It's the left side. Feels more like on the left side. I mean, you're female, but it feels like this stress is from either the mother line or how you're being treated as a female. There's some issue with that, and maybe in the work world, something like that. So just send a zap of love to that situation. quite read that, but yes, beautiful. Okay, well, let's finish with a little peace meditation, just the next few minutes. Any problems you have, we're just going to send them off to the black hole for recycle. Delete the negative charge is usually what it is. So that 0-point plaza in your heart, neutral positive station. God is neutral, your heart is neutral. Feel the neutral and the heart will be healed. Any negative charge from relationship, from trauma. Let's just do one final trauma cleanse for everyone. Cellular level, subcellular, molecular, atomic. Any of these dark particles that have come in, funky stuff coming in, just delete it. In the same way that the throat chakra can cause you a lot of trouble with this story. The power of language is such that we are voice activated and DNA activated, so we can use language to heal with, right? And not just be confused by it. So we're using our beautiful prayerful intent, prayerful words to clear any negative charge, delete all trauma, emotional, mental, spiritual, psychic, physical, psychological, on any level. Please, universe, transact that for us. Oh, thank you so much.